Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And I am here with Invitational 2 runner-up, Oliver V. How you doing, homie?
It has been a fantastic day. I got to do a little bit of the backline stuff, doing a little spotting for the first round. Got to see some amazing sequencing coming out from some of our players. Then I got to take a little break, get on the old monkey suit, and then be ready to come here and talk. I do have to say a little bit of a heartbreaker for those who don't know our previous storylines. We've had a tradition up until now that the winner of the bottom bracket is always somebody who lost in the first round and then went out from there. And that is actually a storyline that we can no longer talk about anymore, with Champagne taking out Claire Historics. However, there is something else that's really great here I want to talk about. We have this thing called the hat trick in our Discord, which is
Yes.
namely taking down a league, taking down a weekly event, and then taking down the invitational. At the moment, we have 5 players that I know of. I think we might have 6, though, who are 1 away from completing the hat trick. Nobody's done it yet. Needless to say, for most of us, though, you need to win an invitational, which is a lot harder. This
Yes.
entire season, though, the past 3 months, Tensai and Charble, 2 of our players who played in today's invitational, they were 1 away from being able to get the hat trick. Tensai needing to take down a monthly league, Champagne needing to take down a weekly challenge, and neither of them were able to do it over these last 3 months. However, now we got Champagne, who'd previously taken down a few weeklies, literally took down our last league for April, and is now potentially on the way to the finals of this invitational. And I do have to say, it would be an amazing storyline if Champagne can come back to take down this hat trick after those 3 months of the other 2 players challenging each other for it.
But you
I do,
gotta get through 2 levels of bosses here, dude. We got the
don't get me
underboss.
started.
We got the underboss and Quirios, who's on a tear, and then we got the raid boss, which is Tensai. And you gotta flip the bracket. It's gonna be insane.
So I think one thing that's super important when we talk about both Quirios and Tensai is their match win percent over these past 3 months. So out of 58 events, or 58 tracked matches that Tensai has played, he's had a 73.42 match win percent. And then even beating that, our second seed going into today's event, we had Quirios with 55 tracked matches played and a 74.32 match win percent. This is not at all for me to talk low of Champagne. Champagne is an amazing player. Champagne has been consistently one of our top players. This is his 3rd invitational that he's been in, after all. But you definitely are getting down to those final losses for sure. We have to take down a 4-color control list, really kind of an extension of the deck that he just played against, right? Like, not able to, there isn't the same amount of Monastery Mentors, right? But you're still dealing with an Esper control deck in this matchup. And then you got to go up against Elves, but not just beat Elves normally, you got to take down Elves twice, which is going to be pretty difficult, honestly, with how we're doing this final bracket. Also of note, I don't know if we've really mentioned it. Tensai, now 2 invitationals in a row, has come in as the number 1 seed, won out the entire way in the top bracket, and then is just sitting waiting for everybody to finish up so he can play his final round. It really has been a fantastic invitational, I have to say. But Doc, I
Tensai?
gotta, yeah, go ahead,
Go
go ahead. No, you
Yeah,
got this.
so Tensai, like, let's be real here. This run has been incredible over the last 3 months. I mean, continuously being in the top, Tensai has just absolutely dominated. Tons of different decks that are available that to his beck and call, and on top of all of that, came in here with the most. I would say, besides Frosty, who went on a Z access. I think Tensai took an access that nobody was prepared for, and has been shown really well here. Stay number 1 across the board, but this final matchup is going to be very, very interesting to decide who's the one that's be challenging Tensai, because we have here Quiros on. I honestly think a pretty solid 4-color control list that is just been shown to dominate.
It is
Hey,
incredibly impressive. It really
yeah,
is.
honest. Hey,
The
there's an answer for everything in the deck.
Yeah, for sure. The one issue with it really is the ability to close things out. You had mentioned Bosch and Roll on the previous Eternal Glory podcast, talking about the kind of variations of control decks, that you either have a control deck that can win every single long game, or you build it to have the Monastery Mentor plan where you find your spot and you push into it. And this is really a deck that, for the most part, is saying, I think that I can win the long game. There's rather few ways to actually kind of close things out. There are very few nails, minus that one Monastery Mentor, and I would love to see Opposition Agent beat for sure. Um, Real quick, Rax. One of our previous invitational competitors calling me out and pointing out that I cannot read the bracket right whatsoever, and Champagne lost in the first round also. So that tradition is still live. If Champagne wins this, he's in the running to get the hat trick, but then also has the potential to keep the narrative alive that the bottom bracket is always won out by somebody who got there in the first round.
Yeah, but we're talking about here though, our last two previous invitational. Well, Charvel took it down in the first one, completely 5-0 the entire 5-0 the entire night. Like just absolutely crushed it. Then we saw Tensai do that same thing last time. History does tend to repeat itself. Do you think that Tensai is still going to maintain that number one seed? And that's where these two players have to be answering. Okay, I'm good in this matchup. I can grind in this matchup. I can make my brain hurt in this matchup, but I have to have just a plan for the end boss.
Uh, it is of note, thanks for Price for pointing this out, that we have never had a bracket reset. So all of these final matches have just come down to natural matches, technically, of that winner just having to play and getting to win out from there. But as somebody who's been in that spot of coming in from the bottom seed, going up against Tensai on Sneak and Show, in my situation, it is incredibly scary to be going into, right? You just really have to be able to hope. In my case, I was on Infect, right? I kind of had to hope to be cheesing out or be able to have my answers line up well without Tensai being able to have protection. But the actual truth of the matter is you need to go 4-1 or 4-2, right? And the 4-2 is incredibly hard to get to. So even when you're going in with a positive matchup, right? Let's say you have like a 60-40 or even a 65-35, you are definitely disadvantaged still.
Yeah,
And that's kind of the hard thing about this. I really love the double elimination bracket. It makes for some amazing storylines across the board. You get to have redemption matches sometimes, and we get to see. It feels really bad when you have games that knock you out. If let's say you're in the top bracket and you have that Wasteland game that we just saw, where a
yeah.
single well-timed Wasteland completely locks you out. The single limb can be a little rough, and we've had these players be working for so incredibly long to actually get here. But I do love the double elimination bracket, I
Oh,
have
the
to
double
say.
eliminations are so much fun, and honestly, hey, you see these a lot in like Elo fighting games, sorry, Evo, and fighting games and stuff like that, where you have these massive comebacks, and it's just a fun story to watch, and it's great for the viewers to watch. So that's the reason why we chose this method, and honestly, still happy with it to this day. But each one of these players honestly has a shot to win this entire thing out, and but let's when we talk about these individual decks for the sideboard game. I think that the deck that is going to be able to slam a Plague Engineer and maintain it in this matchup is going to be the winner versus is going to be the winner. Like that's the only thing that's going to matter in this entire top two matches is this Plague Engineer. For Champagne, it's Plague Engineer to name Monk and Bird to like kill off the threats and win from there with the 2020. But when
So
we talk
real quick before we keep going, we're actually playing the match right now. Let's
oh
go ahead and jump over. So of note,
nice
I
fight.
believe Quirios had to play, played a polluted Delta Pass. We had Champagne go draw Savannah, fetch Bayou, play Elvish Vision, or I'm sorry, Elvish Reclaimer. Both players keeping 7 at this moment. So let's go ahead and get into this. We can talk a little bit more on our thoughts of the matchup when we are here. I do have to say, I do think Champagne has quite an uphill battle that he has to go through. This is not to say that he won't be able to get there, but you really do need to have those perfect setups, kind of like what we saw in that game 2 against Esper, right? Where you're able to kind of slow roll it, get it so you have the Sylvan Safekeeper. You've gone through 2 removal spells, a Swords and a Vanishing Verse in that previous case, and still have 4 answers up before you, or 4 responses to removal spells before you actually go ahead and play
Here
out
we
your
go.
Dark Depths. And
This is a
Sylvan Library.
if you have a force of will that you can convert positively, you're gonna want to do it with Sylvan Library because that card wins the control matchups. But like, just giving you card filtery and in some cases raw card draw is just so powerful.
Absolutely. I think there are, let's see, there's no actual answers to them. Oh, that's not true. We have
Oh,
2 Teferis.
oh, are we gonna see a hole breacher flashing? Oh,
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 so
oh. Okay, okay.
okay.
Sorry.
I do believe the way that that works is it resolves right away when you make the choice anyway. So if I recall correctly, Champagne wasn't about to be got. So as there's no chance to respond to Champagne saying yes to it, the trigger goes, you say yes or no, and you immediately draw the three.
Yeah.
Regardless, you do want the Sylvan Library to work, so you spend the swords there. Absolutely, that is a. Oh wait, no, it got
It was
forced.
force of willed. It was force of willed. That's what I was gonna say. You are completely correct on that. So Sylvan Library, you get the choice after it, but the trigger has to resolve. But this whole breacher just completely invalidated it. I was gonna say like you either force a will this, or you do have the possibility for I was gonna say either a Vanishing Verse or a whole breacher, and we see it. This whole breacher is going to be so good right here. It completely invalidates the one raw card advantage engine that Champagne has in the deck, and it also gives keeps Quirios from card filtering.
So of note, this is a little bit of a lock on the Sylvan Library unless we have an Abrupt Decay or one of the other swords come down. Oh wait, there's no main board Abrupt Decays, right? That was only in the
No,
sideboard. No, there's three. There's three. I
there's
apologize.
there's three main board abrupt decays, but that's the thing. This game now just became a battle over that because you're not going to be able to outdraw the control deck.
So right
And
now, big props to Chaotic Bear. I just want to explain why we're kind of tanking at the moment. Chaotic Bear, one of our level one judges, is jumping in just to clarify with players exactly how this works with Sylvan Library and Hull Breacher. Again, just letting them know that it was before the trigger goes on the stack. Querios flash in Hull Breacher. Champagne gets the choice on resolution of the trigger of whether or not he is going to actually take it, yes or no. So this is not a three treasures moment.
yeah, no, this isn't going to be a draw three cards because of the fact that if the trigger resolves, it already had the choice there. You don't have priority to flash it in. The only thing that happens in with that priority is that you draw the card first, because nothing happens before drawing the card during what's it called? Oh, during the turn. Let's see here. It looks like yeah, looks like our
Yeah, they're just still just talking about it at the moment, just making sure everything's clear on it. Again, big thanks to all of our staff here today. We have Chaotic Bear behind the scenes. He's kind of the invitational guru per se, going ahead and keeping everything going throughout the season, in charge of our bot tracker and running today's event. Big thanks to McDiff also for stepping in to be our streamer. It is a big job to sit behind the computer for 7 hours and literally be pressing all the buttons. And big props to him for being there. It's kind of easy for Doc and I who get to jump around and it's fun to talk. Let's be honest, but really those are the heroes behind the scene. And of course, also big props to I believe it is Pie Boy, the lovely AJ, who is table spotting for us in this match as well. So big props to everybody behind the scenes for helping out.
yeah, and it looks like everything is getting explained here. Yeah, the treasure tokens are going away. Fortunately, no free value. You don't get like the a flash in the whole breacher in response to the brainstorm. That's maximum value.
I've
Uh,
done that once, and it's a good
I
feeling.
I have never done that before, and I kind of want to, but I have done it with opposition agent and a Greenstone Zenith, and they just immediately scooped.
Well, I don't want you to look at my deck. These are my cards. I don't want you to see
Exactly.
what's in there.
I'm gonna take that. I would take that card. It's like, oh, you're Greenstone for fork. Well, I'll take your questing beast.
Seeing Mox Diamond come down. Let's see what land is being pitched here. And a
Wasteland.
Wasteland come down.
Ooh, three
Stage
mana.
chat 3 for Knight.
Okay. I don't mind this here because this means that next turn you can set up for a Merit Lage on Quirio's next end step. So it's not a bad play. It also forces your opponent to have a removal spell because this knight is currently a 4/4.
Yeah, I actually don't think we go for the combo plan quite yet. Excuse me. But this knight, I do think, is one that's just meant to kind of apply pressure a little bit. Of course, you can't actually be beating in with it because of this Baleful Strix, but kind of just tutor through your lands a little bit. Unfortunately, you can't do the sack claimer play with the Knight of the Reliquary plan. Um, Unfortunately, that is the reason Reclaimer is a better card, in my opinion, at the very least. But I think that this is primarily just going to be getting a removal spell from Quirios, to be totally honest.
Yeah, like I agree here. You have to get rid of this before this knight gets massive or starts tutoring out things. Honestly, even the fact that it can tutor out a Bajuka Bog at instant speed to nuke your yard when there's a snap, you're playing a Snapcaster based deck is kind of huge.
Yeah, and your long game really is made up a lot of the time by Cling to Dust, it seems. That was a
Yes.
card I definitely underrated when it first came out, but the amount that that's able to just be this kind of versatile main board answer to issue cards, namely Uro, I'm looking at you, but then also just this long game card advantage engine when you aren't playing any other real ways to impact your graveyard besides the Snapcaster Mage, of course, right?
So when I talk about like a long-term accruing advantage, Drown in the Lock. This card is so good. If you're playing against any sort of deck that wants to put any amount of cards into your library, at any point it can just turn into a counter spell or a Vindicate. Sorry, Murderous Cut. I love this card. Drown in the Lock has like really outperformed, in my opinion, and seeing here now taking down the Knight is just kind of brutal.
We're seeing the Ramanap Excavator coming back for the Wasteland that was pitched, and we're stripping Quirios off white sources, which is exactly what we want to do if we're setting up for a later Dark Depths, right? White mana is the mana source that is needed on Quirios' side in order to not die.
Yeah, so importantly here we got one scrubland, two tundras, the Savi Triome, and oh, there is a single plains in the deck. So, oh, not like totally greedy, but still greedy enough.
Yeah, so unfortunately, with seeing this fetch land, we aren't going to actually be able to strip fully off of white sources. We're kind of always going to have the threat of the threat of Source of Plowshares over our head. But we'll see the way that this progresses. Quirios definitely has the onus on them. Is that a claim?
Ooh,
Yep.
that's a cling. That's a fatty cling. That's gonna hit that wasteland. So what's really cool about Cling to Dust, and like you said, underevaluated card at first. I liked it, and I was like, this card seems pretty good. I threw it as a one. I picked up a foil copy for like $1, and yeah, I love it. Like I think the card is really good, but the fact they can hit this wasteland, which stops this continuation with the Ravenop Excavator, is massive.
Oh, huge. And you get to draw a card off of it, right? So you
And
both impacted the plan that was really hard on you. Quirios was never going to be able to really progress his mana beyond this point and actually like be building up on the board, but also got to cantrip from it. It's just amazing. And we're seeing swords come, and Ramanap Excavator has hit the ground.
so gain 2 life, go back up to 8, fetches down 17. So looks like up to 22, and then swing for 4, bring it back down to 18. Oh no, champagne's down to 13. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, that is really good. So, and we do see a crop rotation in hand as last card.
It feels way too dangerous to just force it here, unfortunately. But I do wonder at what point Champagne is just going to be priced into the quote unquote making Quirios have it line.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, Quirios doesn't need to deploy anything more to the board. Just has to keep on jamming. And ooh, here's 3 fairy.
So there's no more surprise. There's going to be no more surprise crop rotation, so all this Teferi is in play. Really, the only way that I can imagine it actually disappearing from the table is if we spend an Abrupt Decay on it. We're seeing the crop rotation come here, sacrificing a Bayou, it looks like. Or no, looks like we're having the planes disappear.
Yeah, I think Plains is the weakest, so it's not the worst if you get it Force Willed. Okay, but this does resolve.
Oh, and of note, we're just going to go for it here. We have to.
Yeah, you
There
have to.
there is wait, is there a creature in the yard? Did that Knight of the Reliquary get swords?
No, no, the Knight of the Reliquary got
Oh, it got drowned in the locked. Oh,
drowned and
so
locked. Drowned and
Quirios
locked.
Quirios can get up to 20, can't get over 21 if there's that in hand. The white sources are all tapped down. This is the moment to just go for it at end step. No land drop, or the land drop has already been made yet, or so far, if I recall correctly. The big issue is this Baleful Strix.
Ticking up with 3 fairy. And yeah, I was about to say that. Like there's no Sajiri step or anything like that. So are you gonna go for it?
Well, it didn't go for. Well, I think we're thinking about it at the moment. Still at end
Yeah,
of turn, you can hope to draw any of your 6 removal spells that are still in the deck, but it looks like we're neglecting to do so. And
yeah.
I can respect that. This is really difficult to figure out where exactly you are. You have to figure out how you're going to thread the needle through, what you can afford to play around. Oh, we're seeing another stage.
That's good for a wasteland situation.
Yeah,
That's not the worst for a wasteland situation where you have to like activate multiple stages to get there. But in this case, I think giving Quirios the time to draw for things like either Cling to Dust, which is going to gain him life, or even things like a Snapcaster Mage are huge there. Snapcaster Mage, I don't think Champagne can beat it outside of another crop rotation. But even then, that's shut down because of the 3 fairy.
Yeah, this is really difficult. Of course, we see that the draw wasn't what you needed, so it was correct to hold back. I do wonder how much if Champagne's going to be able to find a way to get through this, though. The pressure is still just coming in.
So importantly, if Champagne tries to get clever here, because the Teferi hasn't been activated here. Oh, took the bait to get the Hull Breacher off, but now you just bounce it with 3 fairy.
Yeah, and of note, I think that this is what you're kind of priced into doing. So you can try to have Sylvan Library do what it was intended, and you can start to actually draw going forward. Um, this really was this sort of matchup where a slamming Sylvan Library on turn two was supposed to be able to just get miles ahead, but the Hull Breacher right away before we had a single real Sylvan Library trigger was just oof.
Oh,
That was a bait. That
oh,
was really well done by Quirios, I have to
that
say.
was
That was very
insane.
conscious that Quirios did it beforehand. Heads up play on Quirios' side there, everybody.
Oh,
And that feels
that
and that
was
feels bad.
that feels bad. Oh man, that's like when that's when your miracles opponent AKs for 2. Or AKs for the second time. And you're just like, well, that felt absolutely terrible. You just drew 2 cards and like I feel so far behind.
That was so
This
much worse than an AK for 2, let's be totally honest.
Oh,
That
sorry.
was that was so great. That was oh,
Oh my god, that was brutal. Oh my god.
plays double library.
Which one would you like to counterspell?
I believe Champagne is hellbent at this moment.
Yep. Hit you for 1. Gotta finish off this game eventually. Do we have Oh, baby. Oh, Kaya. Oh, wow.
Show me the Kaya headshot. That's all I wanna see. I just wanna see Kaya
Oh,
for the win. We didn't get to see it last time we had Quirios on because who was he playing against? I believe he was playing against Cliff. Cliff just conceded knowing that the shotgun was
yes.
there.
Yes. And the shotgun is definitely here, hitting both of those lands.
I think
Uh,
that was actually the knight that was in the graveyard that
so
just got hit
gaining
away.
some life as well, putting yeah, okay.
Makes sense. There's the only one land you're afraid of coming
Yeah,
back is that. Wait, actually, there's only one Ramanop excavator, right? So there is no way for the lands in the
there's no way
graveyard to
for
even
it to
come
come
back.
back. I was
But
just about to bring that up.
hey, you never know. You might have looked at the deck list incorrectly. There might have been something you missed. You play around these things, you know. When you when it's free, just might as well take the Dark Depths as the other card that's exiled.
Yeah, this card is absolutely insane right here, and we are gonna see. Uh, I think this Kaya is just gonna take it up unless Champagne is literally able to slam Dark Depths right now and have Sajiri step. Like I think this is just 100% going to Quirios because this Kaya is just gonna just nuke Champagne because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the minus is equal deals damage equal to the player to the number card that player owns life. Okay, so and it's just gain.
Yeah,
I didn't
and
know if it was like double or something like that.
it does look like Champagne took 2 from that library, so going down to 8 life there. Uh, and yeah, you're right. It really is all about getting Dark Depths online right at this moment. Of note, you don't really need Sajiri step because removal spell does it too, in theory. So any of the abrupt decays, you would still have. Oh, you wouldn't have the mana left for abrupt decay, I suppose, but you would
Yeah,
have the mana for one of the 3 swords left.
yeah.
Oh, and
Uh,
I apologize. He it looks like he actually put 2 back, so did not take the 4 damage according to our table
Bring
spotter.
some for 3. What are you grabbing here? Another
I think
knight?
is this just a knight?
I think it's gotta
I
be a
really
knight.
do. I think it has to be. Knight is your weight that you're going to be able to get it. It also you could have gotten Reclaimer there, but I don't think that's correct. You just get Knight. It's the better card. It essentially does the exact same thing here.
It pressures the planeswalkers, which is important,
Yeah, you
right?
can't. No, Quirios can no longer be using this Baleful Strix as a clock. Quirios does need to stay back with it.
To be fair though, like were you planning on really using it for anything but at this point? You just need 2 more turns.
Not with
Plus
the
1.
Kaya. The Kaya changed it also. You didn't need to be attacking into it. The great thing about that Teferi, making it so you don't need to worry about an end step crop rotation, is you can really, if you're only afraid of the Dark Depths, you really can just start attacking with the 1/1 and not be leaving it back. You don't have to be afraid. Kaya plussing, exiling the stage and the planes. We're just making it so this knight is as little as possible. It is relevant to be shrinking it now at this point.
Oh yeah. I fully agree. You, and here's the snappy.
Snap swords
Yep.
going
With
up on life, but doesn't really matter because really it's only going up on 2 because when Kaya ults, that gets another damage.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly it. The fact that this deck synergizes so well with each one of its threats, three fairy bounces anything that you don't have an immediate answer to with swords. Hurts. Kaya is a win condition, as well as the fact that it controls the graveyard, which is so important right now in Legacy, as well as the fact that like birds and snappy keeps you alive in the meantime, and yet also facilitates both of these win conditions.
Yeah, we are really playing off the top. Thank goodness we have these Sylvan libraries finally live, but
Yeah, seriously. Hey, but I have to say that was a master level bluff with with the attacking of the whole breacher. That was so good. That was very well.
I am a little confused about I guess looking back on hindsight, I do wonder if Teferi was activated beforehand because then the library got bounced also. So I wonder if that was a little bit playing into the bounce regardless, possibly. If the narrative went the way that we thought it did at first, that Teferi had been activated beforehand, then yeah,
Mm.
absolutely hands down masterful, right?
Yeah,
But that really was the defining factor of this game at the moment. That and the Hull Breacher right after this Sylvan Library.
yeah,
But
that was big because I mean play draw matters there. 3 drop into your 2 drop that might 3 drop invalidates your 2 drop. Uh,
our our table spotter giving us a little bit of insight into these two players, just bantering back and forth a little bit right now. Um, it they both acknowledge for sure what the key moments of this game were, hands down.
oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Hey, and this is what we were talking about, where this is going to be a little bit of an uphill slog for Champagne in this matchup. You don't have the ability to just pivot into a Field of the Dead win like you could in a traditional green white reclaimer build, and you really just you can't let Quirios go long because Quirios is going to win that long game.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of one of the other things that now that I'm looking at this list a little bit more, we already thought that this was going to be an uphill battle for Champagne. We have not seen this opposition agent come down, but luckily enough, because this is open deck list, Champagne is able to know beforehand what all the cards are that he needs to play around. They can't consult it actually during the games, but able to look at it before the match and then in between the games during sideboarding. But this opposition agent is also this incredibly real threat that you need to be aware of anytime Quirios is holding up 3 mana and one of them being black. Putting back 2 with the second library. The multiple Sylvan library triggers is always one of those things. It's just I
Yeah.
feel a little bit like the kid at the adult Thanksgiving table, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can't I can't big brain that much. It's also like when people who brainstorm on their upkeep with a Sylvan Library trigger. Why do you do that? Why? I don't
To
know.
make it very hard to track. That's exactly why. All of a sudden, you're having 3 piles of cards on the table. Uh, I get to be very spoiled in that when I'm playing 2 Sylvan Libraries in my decks, I also play Brainstorm, so I'm not really playing the second one ever. I don't need to worry about the double Sylvan Library interaction, right? I just wanna be brainstorming the second copy away half the time. Seeing Knight come down is
Okay, so Knight gained 4
yep.
to help put Champagne out of Kaya ultimate range. This is it. Attack for 3, put Champagne down to 7. And how many cards we have in exile? I think 7.
We do have a good amount at the moment. This is something that we're going to need to check on. It isn't too common for our players to keep the entire exile pile spread out and counted for us. Of course, the Teferi being put away to bounce the knight up on top, or putting the knight back. So we'll have to see what happens. Exile has a lot, 8 cards.
8 cards. So yeah, this is attack, and then Kaya
So local champ of note, this isn't really a lands variant. This is a depths variant. So what this is really optimizing is going for the it's a mashup of the Thespian Stage Dark Depths plan, losing the Vampire Hexmage with the White Splash, but kind of going for this in between pile of Maverick and Depths. So you're not really playing the lands game plan, although lands does have depths as well. But lands is operating on the guy trying to get critical mass of lands in play, playing with Punishing Fire loops, exploration, and then also, of course, having the greatest card of all time now, Valakut Exploration.
Yeah,
And how am I forgetting about Field of the Dead, the best card of
yeah,
all time?
Feel the
Are
Dead is very good. So, importantly here, Champagne did play around the attack, fetching for the Dryad Arbor, to block to, save some life total, putting him down to 9, but then luckily the attack and also the activation of a Clink to Dust that was in the yard to exile, a card was just enough to put, Champagne over the number of cards needed to kill him with the Kaya activation.
I
And
will
put in
go ahead.
work. No, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Kaya's put in work. This card's
Kai
great.
we have seen Kaya in 2 different games now just be the win condition, right? Like, the Kaya shotgun to the head, that is the only thing it needs to do. Uh, I guess it shrunk a knight there a little bit as well, but it was hitting lands that weren't coming back anyway, and eventually just got to the point that it was the win condition. It was all that was needed. Uh, really, I think this game very much categorized what we expected going into the matchup. That Champagne honestly has quite an uphill battle to go through. Just this control variant with so many exile effects and just, I mean, control cards in general. Um, I
Yeah,
do really wonder what's going to be happening in his post board plan. Let's actually jump into the sideboards right now. I want to first look at Champagne, if that's all right. I'll go ahead and read the
yeah.
sideboard off for everybody. We have 2 Chokes, 1 Collector Oof, 3 Deafening Silence, 2 Force of Vigors, 1 Gaddock Teague, 2 Plague Engineers, 3 Surgical Extractions, and 1 Veil of Summer. What do you think you like out of this sideboard? What do you think is going to be coming in?
First of all, chokes every time. Just choke them out. Like I think chokes are just so solid. 3 mana is super easy to get to in this deck. I like chokes. I like the Veil of Summer, and I don't know about Deafening Silence and Plague Engineer, though. I could definitely see Plague Engineer being really good to hit the primary win conditions of birds, monks. Like,
Yeah, you're able to hit quite a few things with the Plague Engineer. It's my big thing is always what cards are we actually taking out here, which is my big worry. Of note, also before we keep going on this, local champ, thank you so much for the follow. I do really love the Gaddock Teague as well, turning off the Force of Wills, and I mean honestly, that's kind of it. To be
yeah, but
totally
are you
honest,
gonna
that's
keep
one card to
forcibles
care
in this
about.
matchup?
It's we'll get to that. I don't think it's as clear cut as it might be in other matchups. The Veil of Summers feels really good as well. The choke I'm actually not 100% in on. There's 6 lands that you're hitting, 5 of them being dual lands and the 1 islands. Cheerios does have quite an ability to play around it. I do think you're going to be priced into bringing it in. My big worry is what you actually take out, right? I think Night of Autumn is a potential card for you to be taking out in this situation. But you have this certain like critical mass of combo enabling cards and threats. Decays are a potential card to come out and swords, but at the same time, you want them to be kind of punching through whatever the threat is. A Hull Breacher being on the
You
stack, for
you
instance, locking
you
out your
need to you need to. I would say you can cut the abrupt decays, maybe.
I would think
Uh,
maybe actually the swords instead.
well,
If I'm cutting down on the removal package, I think I would be wanting the decays. We're expecting this game to be slower. You don't have to worry about your own mana base being attacked at all, and just the uncounterability of the abrupt decay is kind of all that I'm looking for. To be
one
totally
versus
honest,
two mana for in response to a Hull Breacher or an opposition, though. That's what
yeah,
I'm.
that is true. That
That
is true.
that's worst case scenario because as we said, we haven't seen an opposition agent at all during this time. And honestly, opposition agent is a slam dunk against this matchup. There's 4 crop rotations, 4 Greenstone Zenith. You're shutting off 8 cards on top of fetch lands. Like
Of
that's
note,
pretty solid.
you do also have a Caracas that you're able to take out. I'm
Right.
not. I'm relatively big on taking out lands a lot of the times in decks that I play when they're marginal and really not that good. There are, I believe, no hits at all for this Caracas besides your own things, and the only thing of your own is a Gaddock Teague if you're bringing it in, or your own Merit Lodge, and you aren't about to be doing that with your Merit Lodge. So I do think that's a slot that can come out as well. Let's jump on over to Quirio's sideboard plan actually now. We're looking at 2 Meddling Mages, 2 Plague Engineers, 2 Surgical Extractions, 2 Pyroblasts, 1 Fatal Push, 1 Vanishing Verse, your favorite card this invitational so far,
It's pretty.
1 Kolaghan's Command, 1 Force Negation, 1 Fairy Macabre, 1 Liliana the Last Hope, and a Pithing Needle. What are you thinking for this one?
So for this one, obviously Vanishing Verse, I think is a slam dunk in this matchup. The fact that it's 2 mana, exile Merit Lodge, you don't gain 20 life, don't pass go. I think that's pretty great. We've seen it earlier in the day, hit a lot of different things. So I hit a choke earlier. I think Vanishing Verse is a pretty solid card to bring in. I do like the extra fatal push as well as the fact that Lily Last Hope is a pretty much an inevitable win condition. But I'm probably not going to side in. I'm definitely going to side in this Pithy Needle though. I love
Yeah,
Pithy Needle in this matchup. There's so many things.
I'm I'm really big with you on a lot of those cards. Honestly, I'm mostly thinking Vanishing Verse, Fatal Push, Pithing Needle. Pithing Needle, of course, stops main combo. There's only one way to actually activate your Dark Depths, and that is only through the Thespian stage interaction. There is no Vampire Hex Mage in this deck. Fatal Push deals with the Maverick plan and also all of the tutors besides crop rotation. Vanishing Verse, as we talked about, is just another Swords against Merit Lodge. Unfortunately, it can't hit Knight, but it can hit Elvish Reclaimer. It can deal with an onboard Sylvan Library at the same time. There is the question of surgical. I don't think if you're playing a wasteland deck, I do like the surgical plan against depths variants a lot more. Of note, this isn't a normal depths variant, right? Like surgically in dark depths isn't game over at all
Yeah,
because you can also just win through the Maverick game plan. So I don't really think we'll be seeing surgicals come in. That is on the cusp of potential playability. At the same time, I do wonder about Kolaghan's command. You don't have a lot of targets minus the Mox Diamond, so you're really just looking to shock things. That actually, I'm almost wondering is a card to take out. Your only real great plan in my mind is the discard and bring back a Snapcaster Mage modes. So I wouldn't
I
be
agree.
surprised if we actually see a Kolaghan's command coming out. And actually, the players are already getting to it, so we can't really talk about the cards that we're expecting to come out. But those are what I'm thinking are going to be coming in. I believe Champagne keeping 6, Quirios keeping 7. Kind of exactly where Quirios wants to be on the control game plan. Going to be on the draw, so up a card already, and Champagne going down to 6.
Well, Champagne didn't have a turn one play either. The most scary play is when Champagne opens with, all right, turn one land into Reclaimer, turn two play Flagstones or Trocure, and then just go pass. Because you know your opponent's going to go up to 4 mana on their next turn. And also, it really does force a you have to deal with this now situation.
I suppose my one question is, do you think Quirios brought in meddling mages? I'm a personal no-go on that, but I suppose there is some potential that it is brought in on Quirios' side.
I'm on a negative on that one, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
There's something special about like if you were to name Meddling Mage, but what are you gonna name it on? Like crop rotation?
I don't
Like
know. I again, there's just so many different variations of the way that Champagne can get to his end state that I do think it is. I mean, this is just isn't a standard combo deck, right? We are a fair mid-range plan. We're playing Maverick with a 2020 beat out combo finish, essentially. I To answer your question that we were starting to get to when we were talking about sideboarding, I do think forces are going to be hedged down on. I'm not sure if all 5 forces are going to be coming out, just because it is a point of interaction against a lot of these tutor effects, right? And whether it's a slam dunk choke coming down, if those are coming in, and I do think that Quirios needs to play around choke, whether or not Quirios is actually expecting it to come in. But you already have some amount of counter magic through these surround locks. So I do think force negation and 1 or 2 force of wills at the very least will be coming out. But again, it really all depends on the amount of cards that Quirios really feels like he can be bringing in here. And so many of them are really kind of marginal. Again, looking at you, Kolaghan's command here. So I would not be surprised if we gave 3 very good players this exact deck list if their sideboard plans were incredibly different, right? I think it really
I would
does come
agree.
down to your personal play preferences.
Yeah, I would agree completely with that. It is very much like on the cusp of like, do I cut force will or not? In traditional turbo depths, I don't think I would cut force will because it's more impactful in that. In the fact that this is a fair mid range deck that can just sometimes just kill you with a 2020, I do not believe that it's the smartest thing to have force will into the deck. There's so many good counter spells, and that's what I was telling you. Drown the Lock is a really solid card. Oh, I cracked 2 fetch lands. Cool, I can counter like most of your spells.
We have had many discussions on the Discord about Drown the Lock and whether or not you can play it in just control variant shells that you aren't actually enabling it at all or turning it on in the early game. And I always have been big of you can play 1 to 2 Drown the Locks and just expect your opponent to be filling them up for you when you're on a control game plan.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
Looking at you, Chaotic Bear, in terms of how I put dice on my dark depths, I would like to tell you that I use 5 and 5 every single time because perfectionist, whatever you want to call it. In truth, because I play bad depths that I'm never ever going to be taking down ice counters from it. I play it and I say there's 10 counters on that and I don't put any dice on it. If I'm on camera though, of course we will. But in truth, I play dark depths for fun late at night. So like we just
I
acknowledge that that land does nothing unless I have an herb play. You know what I mean?
I don't mess around with dark depths. Not my kind of jam. Like don't get me wrong. I can appreciate making a 2020 because making a 2020 is dope. Like killing people with 2020 sounds good to me. But when we talking about like a fair deck or a fair deck that utilizes a 2020. It's not my wheelhouse. Not my biggest thing.
Oh,
I won't play bad
absolutely.
cards.
And this is a really difficult place if we're Champagne. Quirios has really only played cantrips at this point, whether it's the Baleful Strix or legit one mana cantrips. So Quirios is just sticking on a stocked hand, and it's just all about how you're going to be sequencing your threats here at this moment. Um, Looks like just choosing a different card to fetch
Yeah,
with
just
extra mana.
choosing. Yeah, and honestly,
Yeah, yeah.
you don't need the black right now. That's really only for the abrupt decay.
Yeah, a little bit of a tell that we don't have it at this moment. Looks like going for a crop rotation on Flag Zone's the best play. Let me tell you about killing Flag Zones or Troy Cares with your own effects. It is Ramp City. I am all about Elvish Reclaimer and Flag Zones or Troy Care. It is just this beautiful chef feeling. The amount of times that I have activated Reclaimer, not playing like a 2 mana Sylvan library, just to get rid of my forest and go get a Flag Zone so that next turn I can pay 2 more mana and start ramping. It's been a lot. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's fun. Like you talked me into building this deck, and I have like it's sitting back there on the shelf. It's a great deck. I enjoy it. It's it's one of those things that Elvish Reclaimer has given so much more life to like either depths or like fair mid range and things. It's a 1 mana Knight of the Reliquary. How is that not great?
So we do have the Flagstone triggers going off, but Quirio's force pitching force looks like at least 2 forces stayed in, so that kind of answers our question. Stopping the crop rotation from actually going. Looks like the Reclaimer trigger is going to go ahead and get the black source, though, in the form of the Scrubland. Of course, Reclaimer having to get a Plains. So I'm a big fan of the Triumphs in these 3 color splashes, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I
it's all right.
honestly
We're playing depths. We can't afford tap lands in this sort
I
of
would love
pile.
to see it in Dotha Triome here.
Oh,
I would
I'm
love
all
to see
about that card. But then again, I only play Reclaimer with Field of the Dead. I don't play it with Depth. So like I am all about my tap lands. It's like it has a different name. Perfect. This is all I need.
Yep. Yep, I agree. Hey, but when we talk about time though, Quirios is giving Champagne a lot of time. Like I understand control deck. You're gonna just stack your hand and have answers and stuff like that, and it's up to Champagne to present the threat. I kind of would also like to see Quirios doing something proactive here. That's why I
Yeah.
like Kaya. Kaya can be played and also like hold up counter magic and not counter magic, 1 mana interaction very easily.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what we're saying. Chaotic Bear. That Dark Depths does absolutely nothing unless there's an Urborg in play, or you have the Thespian stage, right? Besides that, it's just sitting there. It's just a land drop that you made. And I do hear your point, Doc, that we are giving Champagne a lot of time at the same point. Um, like this is, I guess, Champagne's ideal way that this game could be going in terms of just having as much time as he could to develop. But it's what I guess what I'm talking about more is just that he needs to be really, really conscious of how he's sequencing everything because Champagne is just sitting on answer and answer and answer and answer. And we just
Yeah,
know that from nothing really be coming out.
yeah, I will agree. I think Quirios literally has some of the best answers in hand, and you know, if you're confident enough, I would start swinging in with that Baleful Strix just over and over and over for some action.
Yeah, it is really interesting with the flagstones, of course. Normally, crop rotation is such an amazing force wheel target because don't get me started. The amount of times that people in our community have had to listen to me talk about how much I play force of will constantly, right? I hate force of will. Like, if I'm force of willing something, it has to be really worth that 2 for 1, right? But normally, crop rotation is free. It's so great to force of will because it's a 2 for 2. They sacrifice a land too, not with flagstones, or not with flagstones or Troy being sacrificed, though. And
Yeah.
we are seeing, oh, and it resolves. The Ramnap Excavator comes down. We're able to bring back a land drop right away.
Okay, so now which of the many 1 mana kill spells do you want to kill this thing with?
Ideally, I think you'd want to be hitting it with Fatal Push if you have access to it.
Mhm.
Honestly, I would like to kill it with the Drown. I would kill it with Teferi Bounce, even if that doesn't really kill it. But
Ooh,
I'm just all about trying to save my swords if possible. But
yeah,
doesn't look like Quirios really feels like they have that much of an onus on them to be doing that. And I understand these land drops that are being made aren't exactly hugely meaningful ones. At a certain point with this deck, the critical mass of lands doesn't matter as much unless we get exactly the Sylvan Safekeeper down. Um, it's really about if you're bringing back the Wasteland or the Thespian stages or the Field of the Dead, for instance.
yeah. So here we do see the 1 mana Source of Plowshares. There's giving a little bit of life. You're going to take it back immediately. Ramming up is a 3/2. Yeah, it's a 2/3, 2/3. And so going up to going back down 4. whatever, you don't care. But that just means that there's one of the card, oh, the first card in exile, which is huge for Kaya, and two, oh, it also means that your opponent is now down a what's it called? Your opponent's down another source of plowshare, and if you
Yeah.
can count that up, that's what matters.
Yeah, of course, these three Snapcasters aren't an issue involved with this. And we're seeing the Teferi come down uncontested, bouncing back to Baleful Strix for just sheer value at this point. No fear of having a game blown up by crop rotation as soon as his Teferi is in play, of course. Um, it should be noted, we haven't talked about this yet. We keep talking about the depths plan and oh, this merit lodge, this merit lodge, this merit lodge. If we can get the one Field of the Dead in play, all of a sudden I really like Champagne's chances. Like Field of the
There
Dead is
is
this
a
card
field.
that is Yes, or wait,
Oh,
there's a Field of the Dead in this list. There's the
there
single Field of the Dead, which we didn't talk about at all in game one. It wasn't really getting too
is.
relevant. But if we can get to that one Field of the Dead, that's when the game plan is absolutely live. Like Field of the Dead is a card that is made to crush control decks that are just dirtling and trying to answer. The only way to answer Field of the Dead after a few turns is, of course, you can blow it up. But in this deck, we're not going to be seeing that happen. But the only real way to be dealing with it is by board wiping repetitively, like after 3 turns after the Field of the Dead, after 2 more turns after the Field of the Dead.
I
And of
just
course,
now realized
Quirios
there's
is
a
not
field
this.
set.
Yeah, and Quirios is not on this sweeper list whatsoever. I don't think Plague Engineers come in, even if you know about the Field of Dead, because one zombies will pressure you to. It turns out, and there really is no other good hit with the plague engineers anyway, and it's this one of in the deck. But that's what I would love to see. I would love to see Field of the Dead come into play here. We are exactly. Oh no, there's two Savannas. I apologize. So we do need two more distinct land drops. One of them, of course, being Field of the Dead to make that plan live. But I think that's Champagne's best chance. The
So
2020 plan is going to be really hard without a live Sylvan Safekeeper.
I think Querio agrees with you because of the fact that Force of Willing the Green Sun Zenith for one was a huge play there.
Yeah.
Keeping Champagne off of the Reclaimer to fix the mana so the way it works with Force of Will. Like, that's not bad. You're not wrong. But, you bring up how you need the 7 different lands for Field of the Dead to start working. There's not that many here. I'm looking at it. There's 3 flagstones, 1 Crocus, 1 Sajiri Step, 1 Bajuka Bog, 1 Dryad Arbor, and a Plains and a Forest. So Plains, Forest, Dryad Arbor, Bajuka Bog, Sajiri Step, Crocus. That's the only lands that are and Field of Dead that are one ofs besides the duels, flagstones, and dark depths.
I think it. I think you'd be amazed at how easy it is to get 7 unique
Yeah,
lands a lot of
I
the
mean
time,
you're not wrong.
especially with the fetch
Especially the
with
Reclaimer.
fetch with fetch selection. It's actually relatively easy, especially when you're on 3 colors. So you're playing these 3 distinct duels. Um, and also I guess I'm a little biased from modern. I was an Amulet Titan Boyo for just oh so long that it's amazing how quickly you'll get to 6 unique cards. Like
Yeah,
it
you're not
doesn't need to be this amazing one of mana base like kind of everyone initially started with, where you'll just be able to get there naturally. Again, we've kind of been playing this game plan of fetching for the correct duels, and you're able to sequence in a way that you're setting up for the top decked Field of Dead. The only land choice here that did not was not building into specifically the Field of the Dead game plan was getting the second Savannah, but I think that was the choice ultimately to make sure we had additional white source up at the time,
yeah,
or additional
I agree.
green source, whatever it was. The reason we got the Bayou instead, but we're
Yeah,
gonna
I
have
could
to see the way
definitely.
this progresses. We are on Quirio's turn, I believe. I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of the match a little bit there while
No,
talking.
no,
But we see the Pithing Needle come down. That is going to be completely locking us off the Dark Depths plan, unless there's specifically the what is it? I don't think Force of Vigors came in, but only really if the Night of Autumn stayed in, which I really don't think you wanted to be on
what
that game plan,
what
to
are
be
you gonna
honest.
name?
We're gonna name Thespian Sage.
There's definitely a chance. There's definitely a very, very strong chance because it shuts off the entire combo. You stop caring about dark depths. That's being
Name
safe.
Thespian
Yep.
Sage. There we go.
Yep.
I mean, like that feels like the one and only answer. I mean, like, sure, you can name Dark Depths if we're on the slow depths plan, the pay 30 mana into it slowly, but I don't believe that's actually a
Oh,
road. Oh,
you
never
you just
mind.
said it. You just said it. Champagne's doing it.
I mean,
You're
we
coming for
we
gold.
already have been going down 3 times on it, right? Like that's just the way. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Looks like the dice was incorrectly moved. So yeah, we are officially starting to take off those dice, those ice counters. But if we see 30 mana paid into this depths, and it just swords to plowshare or or vanishing burst or bounce with Teferi. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel. I don't know
Oh,
if I'll feel happy about that or disappointed. Knight of the Autumn stayed in. Honestly, looks like it was just staying in out of respect for this one Pithing Needle.
respect. You got to respect the pithing needle game. If your combo relies off something like that, like yeah. Oh, but drown in the lock. That is harsh.
Well, that is gone now. And this is, of course, one of the features that we talk about when we're talking about these open deck list things. It's that there's kind of the classic thing of playing around with what you think your opponent might have in their sideboard when you're choosing how you're going to be approaching game two. Here's the thing, when you get to see their full 75, you know exactly what cards can blow you out. So in this case, Champagne said, I want to keep this this 2-1 that blows up one card because that one card can lock out my primary game plan.
Yeah. So, oh, Quirios is now just looking for a proactive threat. That's all that's left here. You have the combo locked down. You probably have plenty of removal for the creatures. So you just need to find a way to finish the game. And we see this perfect brainstorm shuffling away two cards that Quirios didn't want, uh, and playing around by getting the basics. So I think at this point, this game is going to come down to whoever resolves the first proactive threat. Primarily, Champagne has to resolve the knight.
Eternally Surprised, that is an incredibly good point. That it does also have technically the other targets in the bird. It's, it that definitely increases the playability of it. I'm not sure how much it really does. In my once again, a big IMO on that, big in my opinion, in my kind of approach of playing this sort of deck. But no, you are right. That should be mentioned. That Knight of Autumn does, of course, also hit Baleful Strix. Turns out that is an artifact. It is not just a 1/1
Yeah,
Death Touch boy.
as we saw earlier, Fracture hit a Eidolon on the Great Rebels, and that was pretty cool to see. Fracture had put in some work.
As the spotter of that match, I was personally blown away by that.
Yeah,
I started typing big surprise caps while typing about that match. We're seeing Green Sun for 3 at the moment. It looks like.
and this is a very fat, juicy target for a counter spell. This is come down to the knight. The knight is what's going to matter, and so yeah, we see the Snapcaster and going. Oh,
You cannot
oh.
you cannot flashback drown the Lock of No.
Yeah, so Drown the Lock, color intensive card, blue black. You need that. So Querio's tipping the hand there. Ooh, this might be happening still. Yeah, there's only one blue source available.
Of
The
note,
blue-
the mana not being paid for that card quite yet, so of course it was not yet on the stack.
Yeah,
That is something that you can undo,
yep.
and
And
Green Sun resolves.
that being said, you do now realize that your knight is about to die because there is a Snapcaster Mage and a Drown the Lock in the graveyard. So because of that, do you still go for the knight?
So then safekeeper, baby.
Boom,
This is
there it
it. All right, the line is kind of there. I guess. I mean, getting Sylvan Safekeeper when we're no longer on the depths plan is harder. I almost would wonder about just going for it and forcing out the Snapcaster and the use of this flashback drown lock. But there's no really good choice here. It's all difficult. I still do think our game plan at this point is one and only Fuel the Dead.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you.
Ooh, and we see the Decay coming down on that Hull Breacher. Decays did, of course, stay in, kind of as we were talking about in that sideboard plan as well. Turns out it hits everything that's relevant except for the Jason the Mind Sculptor, and Swords doesn't hit that anyway. So
Yeah, exactly. So, in note here, I like this. If you're gonna, is that an abrupt decay for the? Okay, what are we? Did wait? What got abrupt
yeah,
decay?
the Abrupt Decay hit the Hull Breacher that was flashing at end of turn.
Oh,
By the way,
okay,
Space
okay, okay.
Plasm, thank you, or Space Clam. I'm sorry, I thought you were a variation of Pyroclasm there for a second, but no, Space Clam. Thank you so much for the follow. We're seeing a poke in the air with the Baleful Strix, and we're seeing the 1/1 beats come in, baby.
Yeah, this is gonna happen, and it's gonna happen in the best kind of way. Hey, because of the fact that when Depths loses that primary game plan, you just gotta go into beats. That's what I'm saying. Knight, it's got to be the play. Top deck Knight.
Yeah, this is going to be eaten by the Snapcaster Mage, of course, kind of as we knew. Oh wait, no, because we have Sylvan Library or we have Sylvan Safekeeper now. Here's the big issue with the Sylvan Safekeeper, though. Sure, it saves the night, but again, our game plan very much feels to be Night of the Dead, or I'm sorry,
Feel
Field
good.
of the Dead. And anytime that you try to save one of your creatures, you're just staying away from you're making it even longer until you're going to get the active Field of the Dead, which is quite difficult. Um, Big thanks to our tournament organizer, Chaotic Bear, for reminding everybody that we do have about 28 minutes remaining in the round at this point.
So, so importantly, when it comes to this night of the reliquary, though, how big are we? A Is it at least a 5/5?
I don't even think the toughness, or I'm sorry, the power and toughness matter at this point. We're looking down two Baleful Strixes, so we aren't going to be getting down to beat down place anytime soon. I think this is just a tutor engine for us, unless Plague Engineer. I mean, we talked about how that we you did talk about how that's a potential card to be bringing in versus
So that
Monk's Snapcaster Mage Baleful Strix.
I
That
I
would be a live top deck right now.
I like Snapcaster. No, sorry. I like Plague Engineer in this matchup. Now that I know there's Field of Dead in the matchup because you can play two Plague Engineers on zombies and invalidate everything.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm speaking about it from the other side, where Champagne, of course, we had talked about potentially bringing it in against Quirios
Mhm.
because these Baleful Strix, the Snapcaster Mage, all of the monks from Monastery Mentor. If it's in, that would be a really live top deck at this point.
That's a
Reverse
very
Hand
live
Abrupt
top
Decay.
deck.
Oh wait, why am I? What am I talking about? I'm so sorry, everybody. This entire time, I forgot that we knew Abrupt Decays were still in. Abrupt Decay, of course, is the answer to Pithing Needle. Like the game plan is still live. I'm so sorry. That is absolutely bad eyes by my part.
That's what I was saying. Like, hey, which one do you go for? Do you go for the Hole Breacher? Or do you go for the Pithing Needle?
I guess if that Abrupt Decay was already in hand, you go for the Hull Breacher. I'm not so sure. I wonder if you just are supposed to prioritize hitting the stage. It is a little bit nice if you're a far ways away from actually needing to use the stage. That game plan hasn't come up yet to kind of not let Quirios know that the Pithing Needle is going to go away. So Quirios is playing in this way, thinking that the Pithing Needle is saving him from the Dark Depths combo the entire time, and then at the last minute you can decay it. Um, it's kind of all up in the air. Of course, we're seeing Snappy come down. And was it targeting Ponder? I believe it was targeting Pondo. Or yeah, Ponder. And is this Op? Or no, that's
Uh,
Kaya.
that's Kaya.
Here we go. Are we gonna see the Kaya shotgun coming in again?
Dude, Kaya has been putting work here. Like, honestly. Okay, so we shrinking the night? Are we going for the non-lands?
Feels correct to just hit lands here.
I think hitting the lands is probably where you want to be at.
You know the entire list. You don't have to worry about anything else coming back whatsoever. It is only the lands that are relevant. You shrink the knight at the exact same time. Um, of course, there is no way to bring it back because the Ramanop Excavator is already dead. So you were really just playing for that margin. You don't need to worry about your life at this point. Um,
Yep.
Of note, if anybody's bingo card was bugged and you had two of the Planeswalker Ultimate spots, you might be getting both of them filled. I'm just going to point that out here.
Dude, honestly, the fact that the Kaya Ultimate has not only been a possibility in these games, but it's been an actual win condition in these games. Is probably the best part. We've seen them positively convert every single time, and damn, like Kaya's like not a bad finisher in these Esper based control decks.
I don't want to count the chickens before they're hatched, of course, but this Kaya will be incredibly relevant if
Yes.
Quirios ends up making it into the final bracket where he's going to be facing off against Tensai on Elves. Uh,
Which I mean,
yeah.
Kaya does do much there. Like the down take can nuke an elf, but like if you're playing a 3 mana planeswalker elves, you're already and it's not Lily Last Hope, you're in a rough spot.
I mean, it removes things, man. I don't know what else you want.
Yeah, true. True. You're not wrong. So all the lands are now out of the graveyard, so that knight is now back down to a 2/2. Um so are we gonna see okay, so the knight is activating, and I was gonna which one of these lands? I'm happy that we saw the duplicate Savannah go. Why are you getting the stage? The stage is pithing needled. The stage is pithing needled. The stage is pithing needled, dude.
Oh, oh.
Oh, dude, Champagne. Oh,
It's
you
okay.
played
I
right in.
mean, this stuff happens. It's of course an illegal action, so we're able to go back. The float mana was floated and paid into an ability that wasn't able to actually happen. We are just on the slow depths plan, taking 2 off.
Yeah, but now, I mean, that was I mean, it sets up another land for Field of the Dead. 3, 6 lands, all different types now.
I mean, yeah. Could have
So,
in theory, we could have just gotten Field of the Dead at that
it
moment
it
and just started
that's
making actively zombies.
I think that was definitely a punt on Champagne's side, not going for the Field of the Dead. I think it was just one of those things that you just got, stuck in his own head on that one, and, it happens to all of us. Believe me, I miss, Grafdigger's Cage all the time. All the time. I just missed it last night. I was like,
Can confirm.
I can't unearth this thing. Ah, I suck."
It's alright, you can certainly target it with Unearth, so that much is legal.
Yeah, that's true. It just doesn't leave. So we
Yeah,
do I forgot about the counting the Dryad Arbor there. So we're at 7 types.
yeah.
So Field of the Dead is live.
Yeah, it would have been live if that was what we got instead of the stage. Again, I'm a little confused. I thought that we had seen a second Abrupt Decay coming down that we were assuming was going towards the Pithing Needle, but Doc, you and I have a habit of we just start talking about other things, so,
Yeah.
we we might have missed something there along the lines.
Yeah.
Um, at this point, it's kind of a bummer. We've been talking about for a while that Field of the Dead feels like really the only way to get here from this point of the game, um, and it's just a little too late. This Kaya getting up to 5, and us, I guess, being 1 zombie behind in terms of not getting it the previous turn. Uh, I am hoping that we're going to be able to get out and get there. We are going to have to see the exile pile, and actually, big props to Pie Boy beating me to it already. 5 cards in exile, so maybe it isn't too late. I do take that back. There is
Yeah,
potential
no,
for
there's
this
time.
to, yeah.
There's time.
We can potentially get there. There's the potential also of swordsing our own knight for a little bit more life if we need some more time. That
Oh,
will
yeah.
not gain a ton of light. That will not help us out too much, but that is a potential thing. But yeah, it feels like Green Sun X is 1.
Finding Reclaimer. I don't hate this. Reclaimer gives you another way of ramping, as well as the fact that, like, really, like, does well against the, Flagstone. Turns that Flagstone into a very live, what's it called? Oh, a ramp piece for the further, what's it called? To help with the Field of Dead. Because you activate the Reclaimer, sacrifice the Flagstone, get yourself the, Field of Dead, and trigger it at the same turn.
Yeah, I mean it is something that we want to be doing if we're on the Field of Dead game plans. We just want to be getting as many land drops per turn, and 2 of these engines is exactly what we need to do. Um, we still have this night activation that we can do at end of turn, and we can start getting the zombie train rolling. Hmm. The really difficult thing here, though, is Champagne or Field of the Dead checks on resolution as well. So when you go and get it, oh, and we see meddling mage did come in. We were
What?
completely wrong on that, I guess.
What are you naming?
We've seen, I mean, 1 green sun's been countered. I think we still name green sun personally.
Green Suns, I think, is probably gonna be the best one. Names
Prop
Decay.
rot? Decay. Okay, yeah. I guess we've only seen 1 abrupt decay this game, so we do know that there's 2 more live. And now with that down, now you need to remove the meddling mage before you have any potential way of getting rid of the stage. Abrupt decay was the only way of potentially doing it. So that does lock down the 2020 plan quite well, especially since we are thinking that Champagne hedged down on swords to plowshares to a certain extent at least.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, the really difficult thing is if there is a removal spell on Quirios' side, for instance, a fatal push that isn't live to hit the or isn't the best right now, of course, because of the Sylvan Safekeeper, you can just start spending removal spells in response to him to Champagne putting the Field of the Dead trigger on the stack, because Champagne will be priced into sacrificing lands. Namely, if you're targeting the Dryad Arbor, because even if he lets it go through, the Dryad Arbor's gone. You don't have 7 unique lands anymore, and the ability fizzles.
Yeah.
So we're in a really difficult point. We need a lot of time with these zombies, and and Quirios has a good amount of play against the zombie plan as well. Just targeting this Dryad Arbor with a fatal push, for instance.
And here we do finally see the Field of the Dead hitting the field, and I think I wonder if Quirios is going to see the line of targeting the Dryad Arbor with the trigger on the stack, because it does check on resolution.
I mean, it's also questionable whether or not Quirios even needs to, right? Like,
Okay.
This zombie plan is just very, very slow at this point. But all right, we are on it. We're on the zombie train, y'all. Let's
It's
see if
about
we can
time.
go all the way. Of note, I do have to say, at this point, I believe we are at about 15 minutes or something less in the round left. Um, if Champagne can get there in this game, there's going to be very little time for these players to play game number 3.
Yeah. It's gonna be very, very tight. And we see here Champagne getting in with I think only one of the zombies. Yeah, I think Reclaimer and Heritage, another Reliquary are going to be like the number one cards you just want up to activate. They produce more zombies, and that's what you're trying to do, is just outrun the zombies at this point.
Yeah, you don't start attacking with your tutor engines that are the ones that are actually every single turn each of these cards gets to produce a zombie. That's just the way that we're going at the moment. We're seeing Kaya go up, exiling 2 more cards. I do believe that makes there be 9 cards in exile. There were 7 previously, or was there 5? Oh no, Spotter. Hi boy, I need you. Help me, help me. But regardless, we still are a good ways away from that being the way to fully clock. 7 cards in
7 cards
exile.
in exile.
Thank you, Pie Boy. I love you, my man. So yeah, we're at 7 now. There is the threat of Quirios only needs to get to 11 cards because unless we start trading away these Baleful Strixes, because Quirios can just attack for 2 in the air with the Baleful Strixes, there's no ways for Champagne to interact with that, and then just go ahead and do the punch for the last 11 damage. So it looks like Champagne needs to at least pressure down this Kaya in 2 turns, 3 turns.
2 turns.
Yeah,
So what I'm thinking here is that you need a certain amount of remove. Oh wait, is Quero just going for the?
the ultimate right now.
I
Let's see,
don't.
the dice came off.
I don't think that's the play. I honestly. Oh no, it looks like it's a tick up. I think Queros is trying to find another die. Trying to decide what to do with this. Oh, tick down. What are you targeting?
The
The
Elvish Reclaimer.
Alpine?
Or on Safekeeper. Oh, sack a land.
Ooh.
Of course, the Reclaimer is the perfect protection piece when we're on this Field of Dead plan because we're getting a zombie from it and we're maintaining the 7 lands. Oh, wait, are we? How many scrub lands are in the deck?
I think only 2.
There's a single scrub land. This is not 7 unique lands.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor under the creature. Yeah, we're golden.
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, yeah. So it
Yeah,
is.
the Dryad Arbor is what makes it over the line. I'm sorry, I was just counting the lands down at the bottom. That's sneaky, sneaky Dryad Arbor. But yeah, we are going to be able to get a zombie trigger from this. And the great part of this is just because we have hit this critical mass of lands, we do have 2 more Sylvan Safekeeper hits or 1 more while the Field of
Mhm.
Dead is still live.
Yes, I agree. There is a possible.
Flagstones.
Big loss. Thank you for the follow. And oof, oof.
Getting the second Flagstones is pretty fantastic.
Oh, Champagne might take this one down. I think Quirios was priced into getting in with the what's it called here? With the ultimate. Oh wow.
Yeah, at this point, we attack in with this is going to be 4 zombies, right?
Because
We
now it's
attack
not
in.
entirely guaranteed that that Kaya is gonna survive.
I think that at this point, we are still on the just tick down Dark Depths plan, continue to be netting zombies. We can attack the Kaya down to 3, which if that happens, if we attack Kaya down to 3, that's completely sweeping Quirios' side in terms of just like the cards that are on the
Yeah.
table. We of course don't know what's in Quirios' hand. There's potential ways to interact with that and keep the Kaya alive. But oh, this is really interesting. I actually wonder, I believe Quirios has 2 cards in hand, or is it 3 at this point?
I think
Seeing
it's 3.
Bog. Oh, that bog actually
Oh!
looks great. Oh, the other
Oh!
Snapcaster mages are turned off. The Cling to Dust, if they are still in, I can't really imagine they are, to be honest. Those are no longer live as well if we're getting them off the top. That's not going to be a card advantage engine anymore. Kaya only counts your opponent's stuff, correct?
Yeah, only opponents that they own in exile.
Okay, perfect. So we don't need to worry about that fog powering anything up, but
Oh my god, this is happening.
I actually love this. This is amazing.
It, Champagne has just pivoted perfectly into this green white reclaimer slash maverick build, and it is oh, this is good. Champagne does not care about the about having to worry about any of this. Just oh, Sajiri step. Okay.
And
So
we're so
how,
far deep that we now
how
have to
big
get
is
to
that knight?
alternate zombie arts.
How big is that knight? See, one, two, three.
And we are
Is this all
swinging
going?
in.
Yeah, knight has pro blue. Oh, knight at
Knight
Kaya.
Knight at Kaya, all the zombies at Cheerio or Quirios, it looks like.
Mm. Oh, this is brutal.
Okay, I really want to know how many cards Quirios in hands has in hand.
Yeah, I think Quiros might be hellbent.
I thought there was 2 cards in hand there.
Oh no,
It
it
looks
looks.
like he's shuffling. Oh,
Oh wow!
whoa! That
He
was so
did it!
well done. Oh my goodness. The writing seemed to be on the wall at so many points there. But the this single Feel the Dead being in the game plan, right? Being able to be tutored just completely unlocked that game. That was amazing. That was so well done. Here's the really scary part. Right now, at this exact moment, there is 11 minutes and 20 seconds left on this clock. Uh, the real question there looks like our TO is talking right now, possibly giving a little bit of a 3-minute extension, just because that talk about the Sylvan library that they didn't actually give an extension for at the time. But regardless, players are going to need to play incredibly briskly to be able to get this game actually done. And I'm going to be totally honest, y'all. I need to consult with our TO about what we do with a draw in this bracket again, because I completely forget. Is it life total that we go off of?
I don't know. Oh, I mean, we gotta figure this out. Because this is big. Uh, there is a possibility that if this goes to a draw, this might mess up the entire bracket. And remember, we're Tensai's waiting in the wings. Tensai's waiting this, watching this right now, and just taking notes, looking over things.
Again, can we just point out big props to Pie Boy, who has been spotting through this entire match, letting us know everything that's happening. Once again, a lot of love to you, AJ. Thank you so much for everything you do. And our TO Chaotic Bear is consulting the document, our big rules document on it, just to confirm what the exact ruling is on how we handle it. But yeah, this would be an invitational first. This, of course, is our third invitational that we've ever done, and we have we've never actually gone anywhere this close to time before. This is fascinating, I have to say. I imagine Quirios is, of course, going to be on the play on this. We did see some really interesting choices, right? We saw the meddling mage being in on Quirios' side.
I don't like that.
Um,
Like, it seemed
we did. I'm
like
sorry.
a
Go ahead.
worse lot. It seems like okay, hold on, Cat Bear. We can just hit us in the rules. Sudden death rules apply since this is. There can be no ties. If there is no winner after 5 turns, the player with the lowest life total loses. If the life totals are tied, the player who first breaks the tie by taking damage loses. See the last paragraph of MTR 2.5 here. Wow.
Thank you, Chaotic Bear, for putting that in Twitch chat as well. That is in our official document for how this is being handled. This is kind of nutty. So this is really interesting because both players with this known knowledge now, they can kind of manipulate things. One might naturally think that Champagne is favored for being able to deal a little bit of chip damage. You're the creature deck, right? But that's not really true. Quirios is this control deck that can kind of make a suboptimal plays to chip in early damage off of Snapcaster Mages, Baleful Strixes, deal with Champagne's early creatures that would normally lose the long game, but might be able to set up a situation where Champagne is lower on life totals when turn 5 happens.
Yeah, honestly, and also Swords of Plowshare really plays here in this matchup because of the fact that Swords of Plowshares means that in the case that it comes down to post 5 turns, I'll Swords of Plowshares my dude, win the game.
Oh, that's so real. Oh my goodness, this is nutty. I love it.
Yeah, fetch lands are relevant. Like all of this is super relevant. If this comes down to turns, Swords of Plowshares and fetch lands is where it's going to be. But we do see Champagne with a turn one night, not right, the Reliquary, Elvish Reclaimer. This is huge. These players are going to have to play fast, and they have to really hope to see like where this comes down to in this last couple of minutes. Oh. Okay. So we are gonna have to see where this is gonna come down to because both of these players, like, oh, this is so tight. Both of them have access to Swords of Plowshares. Both of them have access to fetch lands.
Choke.
Oh, choke!
Let's see the
Oh,
force. You
it's
showed us that you
purple.
kept forces in before, and we're seeing force pitch Snapcaster Mage. All right, that is an absolute must force at this moment. Oh, I actually love
Ev-
this.
Everything here is so tight. You have to play so tight to figure out how you're gonna win through this because Query is not gonna win in time. Their
Well,
fastest kill is with Kaya.
Well, all right. Can I just say we actually have seen this before? Both Quirios and Champagne have been in similar situations before on camera, where we've seen them play at blisteringly fast speeds.
That's
So
true.
we might say there's like 10 minutes left in this match; they can't do it. But both of these players are absolutely the type of players that can go, "Oh, we need to get this done. Yeah, we can get through 20 turns in 10 minutes." Like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
definitely. Both these players are going to be playing on this one and playing as fast as they can. This is another must force.
Kind
Like
of. Do you take
I
damage off the Sylvan Library knowing the rules that are happening right now? Normally, your life is a resource. Your life is not the same resource in this
oh
current
no, it
situation.
is not. It is not at all. Like it's not the same situation at all. This is ooh this is tight. This is so tight. Okay, so looks like that Sylvan Library resolved. Cantrip Cartel again. I think Quirios has to start putting up damage. Like that bird has to be turning sideways every single turn.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you were not actually worried about a Dark Depth sudden kill.
Yeah,
Um, I'll note that Fatal Push being found off the Brainstorm. At least I assume it was found off the Brainstorm. That was really fantastic in terms of being able to knock off this Reclaimer before it could actually start activating and doing what it's there to do.
exactly. I will agree with that. This Strix has to put in some work.
It's
And
broken.
we'll keep everybody up to date on at home that's watching on these time limits as we get to the checkpoints because this is going to be pretty huge. If this comes down to this, I'm pulling up the melee right now. Actually,
Second choke.
oh,
There are 3 islands in play. We have 2 tundras and the Underground Sea, but we are seeing Force Pitch the other Ponder.
okay.
I mean, these
Uh,
are just great 2-for-1s. I would love converting these chokes out of 2 cards of Quirio's hands. I believe we
oh,
didn't really talk about it. Both players kept 7, if I recall correctly.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But being able to whittle away at Quirio's resources, forcing these two Force Wills, these 2-for-1s, and getting really relevant cards, a Snapcaster Mage and a Ponder. Oh, that's Veil. That's Veil.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
oh,
that feels amazing. All right. Uh, you you need to find
bail,
Teferi.
bail.
You need to bounce that.
Yeah.
Vanishing Verse is live as well at this point, of course. But it's really Vanishing Verse or
Oh,
Teferi is the only ways to dealing with that.
oh, Quirios went full. I don't care. Oh, and
Oh,
instant punish.
those lands aren't
Instant
untapping. We just
punish.
need to find any threat for Champagne.
Yeah. Vanishing First is a very live draw here.
But
Um, see, I'm pulling.
this game has been going on for an incredibly long time. Where we are right now is after an incredibly long game two, we are at a very low point in time. It's because this is a double elimination bracket, and also with 75-minute rounds. Just so we can be totally clear, this match has been going for over 60 minutes at this point.
Yeah,
But
we have
at
3 minutes and 40 seconds left. That's
at
all
the
we got.
at the end of time, what's going to happen is the player with the most life is going to win. I'm sorry,
No,
not the end of
5 rounds.
time, but
5 rounds.
after the 5 rounds. But we're in this really weird place where both of these decks are long game decks, to put it lightly. And they still have the 5 turns afterwards. Yep. Thank you so much, Chaotic Bear. But as soon as this time hits 0, then we're really going to get to see what's happening with the life total. So this Sylvan Library, for instance, is totally morphed in this matchup where you don't want to be taking 4 because that's all of a sudden that is 4 extra points of life that you have to be attacking through. Oh no! Oh my goodness! This is amazing.
Yeah, so, Champagne is playing the race to get Quirio below 12 points of life there. Like, you have to go for that damage as much as possible. Okay, there's a knight. Knights are, 100% gonna be oh, is this knight did he untap with this knight?
Yeah, the knight blew up Strix last turn. By the
No,
way, eternally
that was
surprised. I see you. It did come up. Thank you so much.
and
And
looks like Quirio
they're
scoops
calling
it
it.
up.
That's
Woo!
Y'all, this was an absolute match for the record books. We have never seen it come down to having our tie system after a 75-minute match actually be relevant. But these players, you can see them in their all of their decisions. They were 100% prioritizing the life totals and not playing in the same way that we would have if this was actually the game 2, right? And I do just want to say what an amazing match from both of these players. Both these players, Quirios and Champagne, really showed their chops. That game 1 to Fairy bluff, if it was, we're a little confused about that. But that the playing around with Teferi in game 1 on Quirio's side was absolutely masterful. And Champagne being able to take that down with the long game after that much time with the Field of the Dead plan, finally finding it on turn 15 or 16 or whenever it was, that was absolutely jaw dropping. What an
That
amazing
was
done.
wild.
And
The fact that we have seen, so I'm gonna just say this, Kaya, like, get your stonks in Kaya now. That card is really good. Like, I was not expecting it to be able to grind that effectively, be able to actually be used as an effective win condition, and, like, the card was great. Like, the games when it was good, it was great. Hey, unfortunately, we just saw that it couldn't protect the Kaya near the end there, and that Field of the Dead just overwhelmed, and Field of the Dead is a phenomenal card in that control matchup.
And I can we also just say for the third invitational in a row, the person who is making it to the end of the bottom bracket is somebody who is knocked out in the first round. Our first invitational, Malfi got knocked out of the top bracket in the first round, went all the way to the finals. Second one, yours truly. Third one, we now have Champagne. And again, what we're talking about here is Champagne has the possibility of taking down Tensai, who is on Elves, and being the first person to get the full-on hat trick for our Discord. This has been an amazing match. I'm so happy I got to hop into the booth with Dr. Leo for this one, and I am so hyped for this next match.
So we're going to take a short break, but first we want to let you know, as one last reminder, remember the May League is open for signups right now. Hit exclamation point Discord, exclamation point League, and get involved. Come join the Discord, play some games, play some fun matches, get the points to earn for the fourth quarter invitational, and like you'll be here in this invitational next time if you get that grind on. So we're going to take a short break as we get prepared for the first round of our grand finals and possibly even a bracket reset. So stick around with us.
Take care, fam.